part of the podcast here too is that we have audience that either entrepreneur or inventors or SMEs, and of course finance play a huge role in that
Yeah,
regard. And so what 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 would you say in line of that, to someone who is again either starting a business, a startup, or maybe trying to scale it up, but finance is an issue for them. How, especially on the continent of Africa, so to speak, what
yeah.
what direction would you give such a person? Welcome to UMG Podcast. I'm your host, Jerome Sheldon. As always, we have a beautiful show for you today. Now, if you're new to this channel, we ask you to please like and subscribe in the link below. So, without further ado, let's get started. Today, I'm very excited about my guest that we have in the studio with us. He's actually the chairman and CEO of ESD Group Incorporated. Now, it is an enterprise that is based in MIT, that is the Massachusetts Institute of Technology Ecosystem Incorporated, and operating from Cambridge Innovation Center, MIT, in the USA. Now, he has worked his career to global leadership in transforming the financial ecosystem through digital evolution, fintechs revolution, and also financial inclusion. And right now, he's leading the initiative to impact a majority of the world population in the rural and farming sector. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Sindhu Bhaskar.
Thank you very much for being.
So, Dr. Sindhu, thanks so much for the time being with us. And I know right now that you are in India,
Yeah.
right? And you are based here in the United States. Uh, so we're going to try to get a little bit background from you, because I always
Mhm.
think that how a person is raised and what they brought up is always part of their DNA, so to speak, especially when it comes to how they deal with family, even marriage, or even career as a whole. So we're going to try to go back a little bit with you and get some few understanding and some information about you for our listeners here. So,
Sure.
where were you born?
I was born in India.
Okay.
I'm basically an Indian.
Is that the same neighborhood you're in right now, or is it a different part of
Yeah,
India?
different part of India,
Oh
not in the
wow.
same place where I was born.
Okay.
So now I'm in Delhi, and I was born in another state in India.
Oh okay. And so when did you come to the U.S. or when did you move to the U.S.?
Well, it was around 14 years back.
Okay. All right. And now
Nine.
come. So I guess I'll get to say what was it that brought you to the U.S. If you don't.
Well, we are working with some different corporate houses. We have our company in Miami, and we are doing like commodity transactions with different countries. And
Hmm.
one of my partners, like my main partner, was in US, in
Hmm.
Miami. So that's how I came to landed in Miami, and
Yes.
we continued together with our working. Then we got associated with different banks, and that is how the banking started for me in US. Before that, I was a banker in India. So, and Europe, I was doing some consultancy for different East European banks. So that is how the whole journey started, and I moved from Indian land to US show. So, uh, and in Miami, I have been staying just on water. Like my apartment is very close to water, so just cross the street and we were having that river. So that's how the whole journey started, and it is still continuing, and it is becoming stronger and stronger because of the different activities that we are doing. And
Hmm.
further, I graduated to MIT ecosystem, and there I got the office at Cambridge Innovation Center.
Hmm.
And from there, we are radiating to all parts of world. So we are working in Africa, Latin America, Middle East, Southeast Asia, and of course, India is there.
Oh, okay. All right. So as we were talking before we came on, came on set, and I was saying that every time I talk to you, you in India. So I was like, "What's the point of being in the U.S.?" Every time I talk to you, and you're back in India. Now, the last time when I spoke with you, you were actually there for your daughter's wedding. How did that go?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was fantastic, and everything went out very well. And after that, because I am in India right from January itself, and
Hmm.
in between, I had been going out to Dubai, Singapore for 10 days, 7 days, 2 weeks, like that. But
Hmm.
again, coming back to India because I'm working on a neobank and getting ready to start it just next month. Say by the end of this month, July, it should start. All the integration with different banks are complete. So now it is the era of embedded finance, and all software companies, and they are becoming non-financial players are becoming the real propagators of financial, uh, I should say, facilities
Hmm.
to masses, and that is how it creates financial inclusion, which banks were otherwise unable to do it. So it needed a participation of all banking, non-banking, uh, technological companies, non-technological companies, all uh, strata of entities and people to collaborate together to create this gigantic ecosystem.
Yes.
So that is what I have been trying to do.
Oh, okay. All right. So stay up in India. We stay up in India. So now, how was it like growing up for you in India?
Well, of course, India is a land with varied things. Growing up in India, you get feel of every part of world because so many types of culture is here, so many types of ideas are here that you grow up amidst like all those ideas, and you feel you are part of different civilization even being in India. So
Yeah.
that is the very beautiful aspect. of growing up in India, that you have a very, very composite and cumulative personality and character. So when
Yes.
you grow up and you are really matured and you want to do something, all those things resonate within you and you try to work it out like that.
Yes. Yes. The Indian culture is similar to like Africa. For like in my case, for me, growing up in
Yeah,
Africa, you have a variety of
right.
different culture and behavior and things of that nature. Now, like Liberia, for India, do you have? Because I know in Liberia we have different cultural groups that are there, even down to the food that we
Mm,
eat. A certain group will eat this
exactly.
kind of a food. Is that similar to how it is to in India?
Yeah, yeah. Every part of India has different part of food, different part of culture, because we have tribal people, we have non-tribal people. Like Northeast is totally a different culture. South is again different culture. North is different culture. East, West, it is multiplicity of cultures in this Indian civilization. So
Right.
that is the best part of it, that
Yeah.
you get a feel of different culture,
Hmm.
different nuances of life, I will call it,
Hmm.
because culture is, of course, all these are cultural terms, but different nuances of life, how you approach life, how you celebrate life, how you live with your life, all
Hmm.
those aspects you can get in India in different uh, types of settings and scenarios.
Yes, that's so true. Now, to you, I guess I would say, do you get homesick when you come to the States?
Not exactly. Now we have passed that stage. And even right from student time, we were not always at home. We
Yeah.
are always outside. So, of course, everyone likes to go back home.
Hmm.
But my kids are in US. My wife also keeps on visiting US after vacations and all that during a vacation.
Hmm.
Of course, my mother is in India, so that is okay. Uh, So, and even after 4 or 5 months, I also, when I'm in Asia, I do come to India for a couple of days, again go back.
Hmm.
But when there are certain projects, I have to stay here for longer period to supervise and go through all the rigors of implementing the project. Because projects are important things, important milestones of our company and corporate vision and ethic. So there cannot be a shortcut to it. I have to live the here and then go through all that,
Yeah.
and that is exactly what I'm doing. So once it gets launched, I will be out, because then I do believe in delegation of power. So there will be professionals who will be handling everything. I don't have to be all the time sitting on their head. I can
Right.
manage it. Other part.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So now we've gotten a little bit to know a little bit about you. We'll try to pivot now a little bit into the career side of things with you. Now, have you always been? Because when I look at your profile, it seems like it's around finance, banking. I mean, has that always been your drive, financial side of things?
Yeah, I have been a banker throughout, and but I have been very much interested in academics also. So I've written books on banking. Even otherwise, my hobby is writing poems. So right from class 3 or 4, I've been writing poems. I have huge collection of poems, nearly 600, 700 poems with me. Couple of them are got awarded also in different competition. I have anthology of poems also published. So as I said, my research papers are also published. So uh, I am working also, but I have an academic bent. So I try to keep reading, writing, and even others want me to do something for their book, writing forward and this, that. So I do that also. That's very, very pleasing for me because it gives me diversion from the nitty gritties of day to day working. It's something you feel like you have created something
Yeah.
over and above what you are trying to do.
Yep, that is so true. Okay. So now, obviously, you have some experience working on the continent of Africa. Uh, eh, can you give a little bit more insight into that? Because I think you will that you did work with Echo Bank.
Yeah,
Can you give a little bit insight on that?
yeah. So again, Africa is in a very, very varied place wherein different part of Africa has different culture, different temperament, different uh, say approach to life, and different approach to work. So when one is working in Africa, one has to take into consideration all these aspects to move with those people. So basically, what I try to do that I try to move with banks so
Mm,
that because I feel banks everywhere, even though people are critical of banks nowadays because of DeFi's and all those things, crypto culture. But still, I feel bankers are the most trusted person. So I thought that let me move with banks. And since I'm a banker, I can talk to them in those banking jargons and we can move with that. So that's why I'm associated with All Africa Union for Free Trade. They are comprising all the 53 states of countries in Africa. Then I'm working with EcoBank Mozambique. So we signed the agreement for digital lending platform. So I'm providing that digital platform for them. Then we have a payment gateway in Africa also, in different African countries, 15
mhm,
African countries. Then there is, we are providing through Zing Mobile, uh, this value-based services to different telecoms. So with that also, we are in a couple of countries in Africa. So all told together, we have a good number, 12 to 14 million people
mm,
with whom we are interacting in Africa. And that is why whatever is good for India, the part of my project, part of my platform,
mhm,
is equally good for Africa because uh, level of development may be different in both the countries, but there is underdevelopment also in both the countries. So that's how my platform, which is basically an impact platform, and trying to create financial inclusion and banking the bank, and not only that, I'm focusing more towards inclusive finance, embedded finance, what we call it, so
mhm,
that finance becomes part of each and everything. So agri-tech is there, healthcare is there, edtech
mm,
is there,
mhm,
all are combined together. So it's a gigantic ecosystem which I have created through my platform. And that is what I am trying to implement in every country wherever I'm trying to go. So that there should be wholesale development and cumulative development of different sectors of economy. Because it is not that if you create, say, let me give you an example.
mhm,
If I just focus on, say, one part of it, one segment, okay, money transfer.
mhm,
Yes, it has revolutionized banking, but it cannot revolutionize the whole society. It will just impact one part or very tiny part of that society. But if that uh, impactful activity is added to all other verticals of the society, then it will create a gigantic wheel of reform in the society. So that is what my understanding is, and Africa is a very good continent for that experimentation and for implementation of that concept, as well
mhm,
as India. So that is why whatever I launch in India, I
mm,
also launch it in Africa. So my agri-tech is a pilot project in India in a tribal society.
mhm.
I'm now ready to launch agri-tech in Ghana also,
Okay.
whereas in all two language, French, English, everything added to it. I have the healthcare product in India, so I'll be adding the healthcare product there.
Mhm,
Already, fintech product, edtech product project is running in India. So I have different chapters from Africa, like Ghana, Nigeria, this uh, Uganda,
mhm,
Chile, sorry, not Chile, Cameroon, all these countries, different chapters are there. So, like that, because I see that the similarity in underdevelopment, of
mhm,
course, the level of that underdevelopment may be up and down. I'm not trying to go there. So what I want to say that there is a strata which needs to be pushed up in both the countries. So that is what exactly what I'm trying to do.
Yes, right. And of course, the platform that you are using to be able to do that is ESD Global
Yeah.
Incorporated. So let's talk a little bit more about that. ESD Global Incorporated. Now, how did that come about?
Well, because since beginning I was focusing on having a, I should say, wholesale development
Hmm.
and a very much linked development. That one activity should be creating some development uh, in other aspect also, so that development work must be interoperable and it should be interconnected, so that the wheel when it moves,
Hmm.
it different cogs are also moving. So like that, different cogs of society should be moving when one cog is moving of the wheel. So that's how I planned it, and I try to implement it like that. So my financial gateway, or say the neobank, is working with agtech also, healthcare also, edtech also. Now, whosoever is a farmer, he
Hmm.
can also be, his family can also avail the services of healthcare as well as edtech. All his economic and say financial transactions can be handled through my banking setup, digital banking. So whatever I'm trying to offer to people,
Hmm.
it is common in all these verticals. So virtually what is happening,
Hmm.
I will summarize it that all my verticals are also the horizontals. So they are crisscrossing each other.
Right. Absolutely. So part of the podcast here too is that we have audience that either entrepreneur or inventors or SMEs, and of course finance play a huge role, in that
Yeah.
regard. And so what 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 would you say in line of that, to someone who is again maybe either starting a business, a startup, or maybe trying to scale it up, but finance is an issue for them. How, especially on the continent of Africa, so to speak,
Yeah.
what direction would you give such a person?
See, couple of things I will say on this.
Hmm.
Earlier, uh, the concept of uh, financement, your financial statement, balance sheet, and all this, that, and we always talked of gross profit, net profit, what is return on capital, and all. Of course, VCs do talk of a return on their investment and return on capital, all those points.
Hmm.
But now it is basically a number game. How many subscribers you have? Forget about profit or loss, because even if it is loss making,
Hmm.
the justification is that due to heavy amount invested in publicity, that is creating a loss. Otherwise, operationally, it is a profitable venture. So the nomenclature of profit loss has changed.
Hmm.
So the vision of people have also changed. So if you are trying to create a startup which is really going to create such a niche that it will keep on adding numbers and growing in its say health, and
Hmm.
ultimately you can scale it to different country because it has similar capacities to handle issues in other countries. Then what happens, you will always be noticed and you will have the eyes and ears of different people for your project.
Hmm.
But initially you will require funds. So for that, you have to see that those who are your near and dear ones, try to have the funds from
Hmm.
them initially, so
Hmm.
that in the first go itself, you don't blow up your company. And if you are not fully prepared and if you go for any funding, that will create such a demoralizing effect on you that you will totally feel shattered.
Hmm.
That is will be the impact on you. The other side, even if you have tried to do your best and prove that you really mean business, but your numbers, your figures are not there, and your concept of the whole platform or startup is not that which is making sense to the investor, then he will never look at you. And later on, also, if you try to improve, they
Mhm.
don't give you second chance.
Mhm.
So it is very brutal in that sense. So you have to be very, very careful about it. Whenever you have to go to any funding entity, you must be fully prepared. It is so your concept must be clear, what you
Okay.
are trying to do,
Right.
how it is going to affect the layers of society or economy or polity or whichever area you are working in.
Mhm.
What are going to be the real direct results and indirect results? Then you give all the unit economy of the whole project and
Mhm.
the final projections of at least I should say uh, 12 to 16 quarters.
Mhm. Oh,
At
okay.
least try to do that. Even if you have done 12 quarters, that
Right.
is good.
Okay.
So that will give a fairly good idea which way you are moving and what you are trying to do. And what is that will also give the idea that how fast you are moving. Because you should not try to move very fast just to impress others.
Right.
You have to be absolutely in command of your project, then move. So that is how I will try to look at it. And then always be open. Never think that your project is the ultimate, your idea is the ultimate. Never ever think so. Yes, you may have some very, very striking and very fantastic project and concept, but still there are people who can always contribute to even to that fantastic concept. So keep your mind, eyes, ears always open and try to have the best thing for your project so that you can always keep on improving upon it. More improvement, more adaptability, more acceptance by people, and more recognition for you. And that is how you will scale.
Yes. So partnership plays a huge part in that role too. Who you partner with and things of that nature as well to what they can bring to the table. Is that what you was also
That
suggest?
is also one of the parts, important
Okay.
parts. That is because nowadays, if you are not creating an ecosystem for your startup,
Right.
you are not going to survive.
Mm. Oh
You
wow.
can see what is happening nowadays. We started with ICOs, IEOs, and this, that, what not, all types of things. But
Mhm.
yes, that is not bad. This is how experiments start. You do experimentation, you fail, you succeed, and that's how everything moves. So
Yeah.
nothing moves in a just in a straight line. You have forward, backward, and then you reach a place. That is the normal way.
Yeah.
So one should not get bogged down by all those issues and problems.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, that's in general when it comes to business everywhere in terms of being patient with it. But I also know too that on the continent of Africa, that I mean, it's even more patient is needed
Yes,
in terms of doing business in there.
right. Because see, you have to prove yourself also. No, that's the biggest part. I don't want to make any definitive statement about any personality or uh, like characteristic of people. But what
Mhm.
I just want to say that we have to prove ourselves to the other party so that they can invest in us and invest with us. So even if you are going to government department to seek their help, you have to prove yourself that yes, you are genuine, you mean business, you are serious to it. The concept that you have created is really where your mind, head, passion, everything is combined, and that's how you are pushing your project and platform.
Yes. Okay. So when you think about of course, when I when I'm thinking of Africa in general, and we're talking about being patient and taking some time to do things like that. Now, you've been on the continent there too and have done business there. as well too on the continent. You know, uh, what are some of the things you have learned in terms of someone who is maybe looking in, watching this program, and trying to start a business in Africa? What would be a good approach in that regard?
First of all, is you have to build your credibility. You have to really build your credibility because uh, situation is such that everyone will think that, oh, you want to run away with their money. So you
Mm,
have to create a credible atmosphere. You have to prove that yes, you mean business and you are going to stick to the business, so that if anyone is investing in you, you are going to prove them right
mm,
and reward them with your success, because your success is their reward also. That is
mm,
what I have been seeing and learning in Africa, that I cannot just jump with anyone and try to do things. Even if, see, talking uh, great and in a very, very virtuous manner is anyone can learn that art. Okay.
mm,
But that should not be the definitive thing that, yes, or say defining moment for anyone that, oh, he talks so beautifully, I'm impressed by his speech, what he is giving. No, that cannot be the approach. So people who are trying to do that, or
mm,
trying to create a sympathy factor that, okay, I am poor, I have to support a huge family, then people are not going to have that trust factor in your enterprise, because it has no relation to your enterprise.
right.
They want to see how you are going to build your enterprise.
Mm,
So
mm,
fortunately for me, what I did, because my entire platform is bootstrapped. I don't have any funding from anyone,
mm,
and all my platforms are working. So I did not have that credibility issue, because I'm not asking for money, and they
mm,
are seeing that my platform is running. So I am a credible person. So I think in Africa also, those who are trying to create anything, they should create at least a mock model of everything, whatever
right.
they are trying to.
Yeah.
Not just write or not just say or not just try to create a sympathy factor with one or the other personal stories that will not help their enterprise.
Yeah.
I have come across brilliant people from Africa, and I have always welcomed them, and they are part of my team also. And I am supporting them in whatever way I can do that. I
Mm-hmm.
will just give you an example without naming the concerned person. He came up with a book,
Mm-hmm.
and that is a fantastic book which he has written for, say, I should say, investments and in financial field. Now,
Mm-hmm.
as a banker, I could relate to his emotions, his feelings, and his work, whatever he's trying to do in the book. He asked me to create a forward for it, and I was very happy to do that. And I offered him that, okay, over and above the forward, I will create a last chapter also for you, and summarize whatever you have tried to state there. So I am trying to assist him, not trying to snatch whatever he has created.
Right. Right.
So if you are really genuine, if
Mm.
you are trying to do something good, people will be there to take you
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
support you.
Right.
For
Absolutely.
that, people have to be very, very patient and methodical in their approach and
Mm-hmm.
create something credible to show and offer to people to solicit their support and encouragement and say even capital assistance.
Yeah. So, what are some challenges? Um, can you think about maybe one challenge that you had on a project
In Africa,
in Africa, or it could have been in India? This is a product
no,
that you had to work
everywhere,
on.
of course, it is the problem of resources.
Okay.
Problem of resources is the biggest challenge, and you have to really move through all those winding routes to create and come out of those challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And then how to create those numbers, how to pull those numbers, how to invite people to uh, forget about investment, to work with you.
Mm.
So everything you have to showcase everything because uh, in general, I can definitely say, and even you will accept that people are now more awakened with all
Mm.
this media influx. So
Right.
even in remote areas, TV, radios, that has uh, created a new sort of resource, knowledge resource for people. So you cannot fool people just like that by saying anything.
Mm.
So you have to really develop your stance for them
Right.
and tell them that yes, this is good for you. You can move with us. If you do this, this is how it will improve your condition.
Yes.
So all those things you have to lace it and create a very viable story and a plan for your startup or project and platform, and then you can solicit assistance and membership from people at large.
Right. So a person rather has to have an open mind, and of course, as you're saying, be adjustable, to what they are, flexible too. Because sometimes you be started with an idea, and then you
Mhm.
pivot in a whole different direction by the time you get to
Mhm.
the end of it. Now, my next question to you, again, centering around this same banking situation. Of course, we had a developing world now that Chat GPT and AI now have jumped in the forefront of it, so to speak. Whether I mean, where do they stand on that point? I mean, it's almost like it's so far ahead in that direction. But what role you think can they play
See,
in that?
as a matter of fact, I'm not against the march of technology. Technology will always march, and our society is free. Come what you may say, but
Mm,
we are free nowadays, more free than earlier times. So we are experimenting and we are trying to create so many things. Just go back, say 20 years or
mm,
15 years. Did you have this much of flexibility to do things? No.
mm,
So with the onset of new technologies, your activity and your say expanse of working has also increased, and that has become now the real, I should say, emblem for any country, that how much resource your general mass is able to put on the table, and that is creating the development for that country.
mm,
And that is the reason why the younger generation, the technocrats, they are so much now prized property of the country. And those countries who do not understand the value of those people, I think that's a very sad part of the story.
yeah.
So one has to understand all this. So Chat GPT, OpenAI, and as you said, Chat GPT, and uh, those things will always be there. But it is not that it is going to kill anything.
Mm,
Of course, they will create their own nuances, no, their own stories. But I think everyone will like to use them. Like when you got calculator, so many people try to smuggle calculator to the examination hall to calculate, right?
yeah. Right.
But still, you are learning how to add 2 plus 2 and what is the tables 2 into 2. So those things will always continue. They are deviations, diversions,
Hmm.
but again, they will also exist. You will also exist. And at the same time, when they lose their novelty, they will die on their own, and you keep on moving. That is what I feel. That is how the evolution happens and evolution moves.
Right. So things gonna keep on evolving, especially when it comes
Exactly.
to the banking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So
So.
it will be evolving, coming out with a new face, with a new dimension. People will be adopting it because
Hmm.
we are never satisfied with one thing. We are always willing to experiment. That is
Mm.
why you see there's so many people who keep on changing their husbands and wives also. So when in personal life you are not satisfied with your partner, how can you be satisfied with one
Exactly.
scientific technological thing? So no, this is human temperament. You get used to it, so it loses the charm. When things are new, They have more revolutionary ideas and more revolutionary features for you, so you have more attraction and attachment to that. After that, it is just normal uh, thing for you. So
Right.
that is how it will lose its charm and beauty. So right now we are discussing, but later on you will find something else has come.
Yeah. So no need to be too fearful about
No, no,
the
no, no, no.
about the chat GPT, the
Everything
AI.
they will create the code, but again, what you have to implement it.
Right.
They will
Yeah.
create the code, and if they create money, they are
Uh,
not going to use that money. We are going to use that money. So why should we be affected by that? Why
right.
should we be afraid of that?
Yeah. It's a lot of innovation can goes on. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
those are just a platform to use. Okay. So now I know one of the goals that ESD Global does is try to make banking, the principle of banking, kind of easier for people in using technologies and stuff like that. Now, in Africa, especially in this case, Liberia specifically, people are very skeptical about putting the money in the bank. You know, you have at times you may go to the banks and then they say, well, the internet service is down. So now you're stuck. You cannot get your money out, and people tend to be fearful about that. You know, well,
Correct.
I don't want to put my money in the bank. Um, what what would you say the pros and the cons for that?
Okay. So in the beginning of couple our interview,
Mm,
I had used the term embedded finance.
mm,
So for me, the whole concept of banking is not just deposit and withdrawal of funds. It is part of your whole system. And my models are always digital. So they are not only machine driven things. So what is happening that in areas where there is no banking, no bank branch, nothing, there are people who are the agents of the bank who are working there with you, and they are from your area itself. So
mm,
what happens if you need money? You just make a call. Your partner, your family member can make a call, and the nearest agent will deliver the money to you.
mm,
That is one aspect how we
mm,
are tackling it. In
mm-hmm.
India, we have that,
Okay.
and we call them human ATM. So those people, and it also serves your employment problem in those rural areas. Those who are educated, they can act as the agent, so they can be eyes and ears for the financial institution or the neobank which is working in that area. At the same time, they can relate more to those people who are from the area and
Mm,
create that trust factor. Because
yes.
right now, we are more focused on trust factor and
Right.
privacy of things.
Yes.
So, how to create that trust factor? That is very important. So, agent model in those remote areas where there is no other way out to do operations and work, that serves the purpose. But again, when you are giving loan, what you are doing, you are making the entire area or
Mm-hmm.
say entire colony of people responsible in case of any failure, because
Mm,
we are trusting them and giving them money. So if
mm,
they are defaulting, the whole area, that community should raise their hands and tell the guy, okay, you must pay, else get lost from here. You
mm,
cannot create a bad name for us. So that sort of community backed effort, and from our side, agent backed operations will create utmost trust level between both the entities, and everything will move smooth. And moreover, with digital apps and all that we are providing in smartphones, now in feature phones also, we are trying to work it out how to go about it. But there are some feature phones in which with QR code and you can do some transactions. Sorry. So we are trying to develop that also. With
mm,
that, what is happening? All money is under your control. Your wallet cannot be debited by others because you have to put in the codes, you have to put in the OTP. Then your
mm,
wallet can be debited.
mm.
So with that, the fear of other people with financial institutions will
Mm.
go out. But I will tell you, these were the factors because there is a big mental block against technology and its advancement and its adoption by people in remote areas
Right.
because they don't accept. So there is a cultural fear, cultural mental block. And that is why I started this EdTech program in which we are creating digital knowledge awareness in those areas
Mm.
for those rural students, rural people, so that they can understand the real face of the technology, real use of that technology, and how it is going to benefit them. And that will remove the mental block, cultural block, and they will move towards acceptance and adaptability of those technologies.
Yes.
So that is why my different verticals have different connect and purpose. Why I started? I started as a banker, then I went to agritech, went to healthcare, and then finally to edtech. So all those are linked. So when those remote people they know, they learn that okay, technology is good, it is going to help us like this. This is how with wallet we are controlling our money, it is under our control. Then that fear of losing money will go
Right. So it's about educating people
up.
in that fashion when it comes to the banking, especially those in the rural area. So
Yeah.
what are some ways that we can do that? Now you did mention of you got like these agent that goes out to help people withdraw their money, but
Mhm.
is part of that could a part of that also be some kind of a awareness educational program? How do you set those kind of things up to help people?
So if you see in our educational program, we are creating all those different conferences, webinars, seminars, even giving internship opportunities to students so that whatever they have learned in class, in lectures, they can
Hmm.
implement those and they can develop something on their own with our assistance. And then
Hmm.
they can go back and try to start their own product and some project, and we will definitely assist them and help them. So that is what the continuity in education and learning we are trying to give so that the fear of new technology can go away from their mind and they should be ready to adopt those technologies. Because no doubt about that, new technology, digitization is definitely helping the society and expanding your reach to
Hmm.
tackle different problems, which we were unable to do earlier.
Okay. Now, I know you are in India at this, current time now, and you working on this initiative with the farmer sector. So, what is that basically all about? Is that something that is it a pilot program to scale out? And what is it about actually? That farmer
Okay, so
sector.
let me first explain you what is the whole uh, ethos behind this agritech.
Hmm.
For me, agritech, say agriculture, is not only an occupation, but it is a tool for rural development and transformation of rural economy.
Hmm.
Then second aspect was government in developing countries and underdeveloped countries, they have to provide whole lot of subsidies to these agriculturists so that they can survive and then they can produce.
Hmm.
Now, with new technology, what I said I have tried to do, I have segregated the whole practice of agriculture occupation in three parts. So, farmer becomes like farmer as producer of crop. So, in that, whatever is relevant for the production of crop, all those activities are included. So agricultural implements, tractor, irrigation, foundation seeds, breeder seeds, measurement of land, plant health, then fertilizers. Uh, when you are irrigating fields, so what is the soil uh, I should say, moisture content there, how much water should be put in fields. All those things are part of that.
Mm.
Now, from the mobile app that we have created, you can do each and everything. Even you take picture of the plant, it will determine what is the plant health, and it will give you solution if there is any disease. So there is organic remedy also, and there is chemical remedy also. That
Right.
okay, you have to spray this fertilizer, this insecticide, pesticide, whatsoever, and this is the organic treatment. Okay, you can put ashes there, things like that.
Mm.
The second part becomes farmers as seller of crop. Now, if they are producing, they are doing good. Now, how they have to sell it? Because that is the biggest problem for them. They don't have that outlet, and they are dependent on government sources or others, and they are fleeced there, they are ripped there, they don't get the actual pricing of what is prevailing in the market. So
Right.
we have created on that application itself three, four markets for them, like local market, national market, international market, barters, P2P market, and different pricing of different product is given there. It is moving. Even government support price in case of India, we are
Mm.
mentioning it. Now the farmer has the option that okay, this is giving me the best price. I will sell it at this place, ABC place.
Mm.
So now how to reach there? They have decided that we will sell it here because I am getting $10. Other places, one place is giving five. My local P2P market is giving me just $3, things like that. So now logistic part. So
Right.
even those logistic providers are connected on the application. So train services, your different transporters, local transporters, all are connected. So it has to move from, say, New Delhi to Mumbai. Now, all different transporters, their rate will come. What are the different facilities that they are giving?
Mm.
They can choose and say that, okay, we'll go with them. And that's how they will, the transporter will pick up everything and load them. Our also effort is that they should not put their product in different stores or godowns because that's how the product loses its efficacy and strength and richness. So whatever you are producing, it should be culminated and transformed into cash as quickly as possible. So that is the second part. With all this, what happens? We
Mm.
are aiming that you are going to definitely increase your earning. Now, if you are creating your earning deposit, you must further invest, rotate your capital so that the corpus can increase. So the third part is farmer as creator of wealth. Now, farmers may be artisans also. So whosoever rural artisan making something of this metal, that metal. So we are talking of that supposing area A has something like copper
Mm.
available there in that local area. So they can make copper things and it can be sold outside. So that's how we are trying to create different entities as rural capitalists, and their equity can be traded on a rural exchange. So that is how you are rotating the capital and their investment in government schemes through that exchange so that whatever government money has come to farmers as subsidy, it can go back to government. And there is no budget deficit and the gap is covered. So deficit funding is not required by
Mm.
the country. And rural area also becomes contributor of capital to and revenues to
Mm.
national government. Whereas nowadays it is only the industrial cities which are contributing to national revenue. So this way they become equal partners in contributing to national revenue. So it has a big agenda, huge agenda on which it is working. It will
Mhm.
take time to see every. Well, there are so many moving parts. So
Right.
all moving parts have to be in tandem to give out that desired result. But that is why I said right now we are doing a pilot project in one of the tribal areas. I
Mm.
don't want to rush through it because it
Right.
has to move in a different fashion. And whatever, like carbon attributes, carbon credits, uh, all those things are in regenerative agriculture. Everything is part of it. So that all the new concepts, latest concepts, should not be parachuted on them, but they should learn it right from the zero level and
Mm.
then adopt it and make it as part of their own. So, like uh, transformative use of energy resources, hydropower, solar power, everything we are trying to encourage.
Right.
So you have all those inbuilt facilities there, and farmers can communicate with each other. We are even trying to create a mechanism by which overseas buyers or any buyer can see the actual field and see the actual crop, then take their decision.
Mm. Now, with initiative like that, that's now how long has this been going now for you? How long have you been undergoing this project?
Well, I started this in 2019,
Okay.
and then everything got slowed down
With the
because
COVID.
COVID came. So 2021, not much of movement, but
Hmm.
more focus was there on 2021, where we worked on it, and then 2022 uh, August we launched it.
Okay. So how you feel now about it? I mean, is it going in the
It's
direction that
it's
you?
a fantastic product. Couple of overseas companies they have joined hands with us, and
Hmm.
I am also I've connected it to my payment gateways, added lending mechanism there. So then insurance I am adding. It has very different concept. Lending, I am trying to make it for 5 years in place of 1 year, so that repayment is not a problem for farmers. And in 5 years, they have ample opportunity to set right any default if there is anything.
Right.
And so I am trying to bundle out all those loans into a sort of bonds and then sell it out to different HNIs so that the all the lending amount is back to the bank and they don't have to be recapitalized. So there are so many angles to the
Right.
whole philosophy of this agritech, but it is very, very fascinating the way it has come up and the way it is tackling all those issues with one single app. So there is a classic case of, I should say, super app with embedded finance.
Yes. Yeah. And that sounds like an exciting project also too. Like you said, it's a lot of parts to it, moving parts, so to speak. But of course, with something coming around together like that, can really uh, have a huge impact. Now, you mentioned
Yeah.
this being a pilot, so I'm assuming then that you're probably going to escalate that. I mean, you're going to scale it out.
No,
Um,
already I did it, and
okay,
we are launching it in Ghana,
okay,
and already talking to Chile. We have talked to the mayor of one of the provinces, and we are launching it in Chile also. So we
okay,
are scaling it immediately. I don't wait. I just go because I take time in finalizing everything of the application so that there is no default and everything, all the moving parts are moving in tandem, and then I try to just push it out.
right. So obviously, you mentioned too that this is something that I'm saying that you work in tandem to with the government in terms of implementing it. Is that part of the requirement? Because I'm thinking like in the case of Liberia, how 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 can you get that partnership, or what would they have to do on their part in terms of the government to bring in a project like this?
I am very open. As a matter of fact, I don't charge anyone for my technology. I
Mm.
have a very open model with anyone whomsoever I have joined hands. We are just sharing the revenue 50-50. I don't complicate things. And yes, of course, when we are working, so all the maintenance and everything will be taken care of by the entity and the developers. So they will have to be taken care of by the organization which is using our technology. But the initial that okay, you give me 1 million, then I give you this technology or this that. I don't do that. I
Mm,
just offer it because mine is an impact platform. The basic purpose of it is to create impact and real transformation in society, not only making money for myself.
right. Right. And this is a very good initiative, as I mentioned, especially when you talk about farming. There's so much that can come out of that. And with the
Yeah,
different parts, you talk about logistic in it, getting the crops together and all those things like that. It need a
yeah,
lot of cooperation on that as well. Okay.
exactly.
Well, uh, Doctor, we thank you so much again for, like I said, the time that you take out. I'm sure we're going to have to get you back on the podcast because there was so many points you brought up, and I think it's going to be a lot of
Right,
questions because this to me is
right,
more
right.
of a engagement part with questionnaires and things of that nature. So in the near future, we're going to have to bring you back on this project. Kind of keep an eye on how it's developing because I think it's very
Right.
interesting as well too. Now, now we mentioned earlier to you about our favorite part of the show, which is the 5 for 5.
Rapid fire. Yeah.
Yes. So the 5 for 5 is where we, ask you some questions and get a quick response from these questions. So I'm gonna ask my producer to do the countdown on that, and then we'll get to the questions.
So how many seconds were
Okay. All right. So you know how much of I mean it's not a whole lot of seconds, but just something that
you?
passed to your mind. Okay.
Okay.
So the very first question for you would be your favorite childhood memory.
Favorite?
Yes, your favorite childhood memory. What comes to mind?
Favorite child?
Childhood, when you're
Oh,
growing up, your childhood
oh,
memory.
okay. Of course, for every growing memory is your girlfriends. Okay, jokes apart. Of course, one is always indebted to parents for all
Okay.
that they're doing for you.
All right. We don't want to get you in trouble now. So,
And yeah, of course not.
okay. All right. So the next one would be, and I think this one I might know the answer, but you could prove me wrong. Your favorite subject in school?
uh, well, English and Sanskrit.
English. Wow. I would have gone with math because I'm thinking about the banking situation. I would have went with math. Okay, so English. Why English?
Because I was more into academics. So since beginning, I was reading, writing more. I told
Okay.
you I was writing poems right from third standard. So I
Yes.
have my first poem also, which I had written in like a couple of so many years back.
Okay.
So that's why I'm more fascinated by Sanskrit, which gave you a lot of imageries and ideas
Hmm.
from different Indian scriptures and books. Because Sanskrit is also a very rich subject, and then English, because
Okay.
that is how people understand you.
Right. Okay. So the third one is best place to vacation.
Wherever we are together with all the family members, I always enjoy that
S-
because I don't have any planned place
mhm,
to be
mhm.
with everyone. So wherever we are all families get together is there. That's the best place for it.
Sounds interesting. Yeah. So it could be even home. A
Yeah,
lot of the
yeah,
family
yeah,
together. Yes.
exactly. Because most
Okay.
of the time I'm out flying here, there. So when I'm at home and all the family members are there, that's the best possible time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So our fourth question here would be your favorite quote.
Every effort will be definitely rewarded if it is done with right intention and
Hmm.
honest efforts.
Yeah, that is so true. So the last one is, what is your thought or last thought here to our audience about finance?
Finance is not something, I should say, uh, a subject of hatred.
Mm-hmm.
as it has been made out to be uh, a despicable entity or subject, but it is a growth of our experience from time immemorial. So there are certain classical principles in finance as a subject which are very, very important in life. And be it fiat economy or crypto economy, both are using the same principles of finance
Mm-hmm.
which we have been using. So we must respect and honor finance and try to see the real spirit of financial principles and try to execute them for common uh, good and welfare.
Yes. So finance used properly can yield good results, actually. Okay. Thank you so much, Brother Dr. Sandhu, for being here with us today and give us some very good insight into your journey. And of course, the initiative that you are taking right now with the pharma sector. We wish you the best in that.
Yeah.
We ask that you come back later on to kind of keep us updated to how that's going because I'm kind of
Thank,
curious about it as well too. And of course, say hi to the rest of the family
thank
there in
you.
India, and look
Yeah.
forward to getting back with you, talking with you when you get back into the states.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for this wonderful work and hearing me out for such a long time. That required patience, and you have shown that. Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, we love that. We love to have you on that anytime. Okay.
Thanks.
So, to our viewers, we're glad that you could be with us on this episode. And I hope that during the course of this episode, you were able to take some few things out of the conversation to be able to add into your journey. Perhaps whatever challenge you may be going through, or maybe something else that you may be trying to ponder over or figure, whether it's starting a business or maybe scaling up a business. Hopefully, this conversation was something that you're able to gain something from that you can add to that process as well. So, as always, as I say, jump, but don't jump too high because you have class. We'll see you in the next episode.